I want to thank Ryan and Wade from Stream for joining us today. Thank you very much for your time. I understand that you're both based in Oregon. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us today. And I want to get a bit of more information about your organization, what you guys do. So who's going to take that question? Ryan, is that for you?
Yep. Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about the company. I believe you're the founder of the organization.
Yeah, that's right. So I founded the company along with my CTO, Sean Atkinson. Sean had spent, a couple of years, I think about a decade, building companies from the ground up. He's had a couple previous exits in the software space, including the last one, Prabata Health, where he was the CTO. And myself, I've been in the computer vision machine learning space, simply put, using the camera to understand, what the camera sees for about the past decade. So when Sean and I founded Streem is really out of, looking at the space from the consumer's perspective and seeing how we can solve some of those consumer, customer support issues that customers have. So what we decided to do is take our background in computer vision machine learning and video technology and see how we could tackle a practical utility application for consumers around support. So, we took our expertise in that space, and in 2017 we founded Streem, and we've been working with large and small, partners in the space ever since on helping them solve some of those customer experience issues.
Excellent. That sounds really, really interesting. I know we're going to dive in a bit deeper into what you guys do in a moment. But just what was the inspiration behind this? There must have been something that kind of sparked the interest in the first place, and you thought, light bulb went off.
Yeah, so at the previous company that I was at, I helped build and launch a remote collaboration software for heads-up displays in the industrial space. So think GE, large companies who have large machinery around the world. Instead of flying a person around the world to solve issues when a machine goes down, they would send a pair of heads-up displays or smart glasses instead with our software on it. And you'd be able to put on these heads-up displays, connect with a remote expert, and get help hands-free. And so saw the impact of what remote collaboration could do in the industrial space and wanted to bring that same technology to help consumers when they have issues with things around their home. Just being a homeowner myself and my co-founder had just got done building his house. Just seeing all the friction in between a customer who needs information and a support person who has sometimes information that they can share to either resolve the issue or capture enough information to send somebody out and do the work right the first time seemed like something really compelling. Again, focusing on that consumer experience and then working back into building an enterprise level solution. And so we were really honestly kind of selfishly building this for ourselves. It was something that we wanted as consumers. So it was really inspired between, our past experiences and something we selfishly desired as a consumer.
Wow, that's a really good story. Thank you for that. And Wade, just so we can introduce you to our audience, tell us a little bit about what your role is in the company and what you do.
Sure. So I spent about 20 plus years in the contact center world, and primarily with telecoms and bringing companies that do contact center as a service out in the industry. And when a friend of mine turned me on to Streem, I looked at it and said, well, that's fantastic. They started up with plumbers and electricians that didn't want to go across town to size up a job. But as you can probably tell pretty quickly, this has major implications in the contact center. No longer does somebody have to paint a picture with their words. It can actually just show you. And it's the closest thing to teleportation we have out there. And, with the plumbers and electricians, we'd save $150 to $200 on the truck roll if they ended up using Streem. In the contact center world, we can save that if they've got a field service operations, but also we make the calls shorter because you no longer have to spend so much time describing a situation or walking somebody through an issue. You can actually allow the agent's brain to process at its natural speed because it has those visual cues. So I'm here helping align Stream into the contact center world, and here it's all about customer experience and agent experience.
Interesting. It sounds like you guys are really at the cutting edge of, you know, artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. Can you maybe just describe then what exactly the solution is? So I'm a customer, I've got, say, a dishwasher, it's broken down. How does your technology assist the manufacturer?
Okay, I'll take a first stab at this and let Ryan go into some details. So let's say the call has come into the contact center. At some point, the agent, depending upon their comfort level with the person they're talking to, may say, hey, are you on a smartphone? I could really help you out a lot faster if I could just see what you could see. And 9 times out of 10, the person's like, yeah, I'm on a smartphone. Yeah, let's go for it. The agent then has the ability to push a button on their agent desktop, and then a text message goes across to the end user who's in front of their dishwasher in this example. And they tap on this text link, and there's no application to download. Up pops the mobile browser, and now the agent can see through the back camera of the phone. And you're now both looking at the same thing. So this is using AR to basically enable the agent to see what the customer can see and resolve issues faster. Now, where the artificial intelligence comes in is that we can actually, most people can do a video conference. That's nothing special. But when we're talking about true remote AR and bringing the computer into the conversation through AI, using things like object recognition and optical character recognition, that's where we start to see some differentiation in the space. Is that being able to tie it in real closely with your agent desktop so you don't have yet another tool, and then also to take advantage of the learnings in that data. Not only can you empower the agent to be smarter and give them some power tools, but you can actually start moving this stuff into self-service. And I'll let Ryan talk a little bit about how we can leverage AR and AI in the mobile experience with someone in self-service.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so when a mobile application is downloaded, we allow that remote agent to use what Wade was alluding to, which is, you know, true augmented reality, which means that agent can now overlay things like an arrow and anchor it to the real world. So even if the customer moves around, that arrow will point exactly where it's intended. And it's really meant to just be a more efficient, collaborative, and human way to communicate. It allows that agent to, instead of have to explain, no, it's 3 down to the left, no, not that one, they can literally just reach out and point. And we're finding by using these augmented reality tools to collaborate, it's enhancing the efficiency of the communication by up to 40%. So that means faster call times. And then Wade was also alluding to, once we do have the camera on and we're using computer vision machine learning, we're not using, you know, AI, you know, to replace anybody. We're using AI to enhance that agent on the other end, make them almost superhuman. We're providing them context before, you know, it's even realized. So Wade mentioned we use optical character recognition to do things like pull out serial number and model number. We're also using some object recognition so that we can recognize context. For instance, is there water damage? What does the camera see in the environment? But when we do have true AR, we're also able to pull out spatial information without having to go on site or require the customer to take measurements. All of that can be captured through the camera, and then remote measurements can be taken without having to do it manually. So all through Stream's AI. And really the premise is just to make, you know, the data capture as accurate, if not more accurate, than sending someone out to have to go and capture it in person. Right. We want to be able to do that remotely and arm that agent to do it.
It sounds really, really clever technology that you guys have developed and you know, rolling out. So if one of the questions I would have is, you know, I'm an agent in my contact center. I say to you guys, you're my customer. Hey, have you got a smartphone? Is there any have there been any concerns about privacy, what you're actually seeing at the user's end or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it being video is, we're looking into the customer's most private space. So security has always been, top of mind. And I think anyone in the video space, it should be top of mind. So some of the precautions that we're taking and that others in the space, we would, suggest they take as well, is we actually use one-way video and two-way audio. Mm-hmm. So we're not actually showing the customer's face or the call center agent's face. What we've learned through very extensive research is neither of them really want to show off each other's faces. They really want help and quick help. We also, on top of that, our CTO and co-founder has experience in, a HIPAA background. And so all the technology is encrypted and transit and rest, and we take very, very high industry best practices for ensuring that our platform is extremely secure.
That's
and I guess future.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, in future looking, we're also doing things around using computer vision not only to recognize context for the call center agent, but also using computer vision for blurring out things and people that shouldn't be represented in the video feed. So for instance, if you're on a video call, we'll actually be able to hide someone who is underage or things that of value that shouldn't be on camera, we'll be able to blur out, things like that. So we're working on it from a technology standpoint and also just a practical standpoint around security and data privacy, etc.
Right. I guess, these must be very, very good times for you guys as well, because, we're in the age of COVID-19 and the pandemic, and people are not traveling out as much as they used to. So it's probably a really good time for you guys to have this sort of technology out there.
It has been. We've definitely seen an uptick in usage, and a lot of like how COVID has pushed people into using more video conferencing. It's kind of something that was on a natural path already. So we're seeing that this is following a natural path as well, because people want to travel less, and they want their field force out less. They want to burn less less fuel. So I think, if anything, COVID has really just accelerated and been a catalyst to get us where we're going to be here in a few years anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of, where what else you can use this technology for, I guess, picking up what you just mentioned, Wade, we're all getting used to being in front of a video camera these days and not using it just with friends, but using it for business purposes, to contact companies, etc. Do you guys have any plans to evolve the technology? So if I'm a customer phoning into a contact center, then the systems can intelligently look at what my facial features and maybe what faces I may be pulling, and try and alert the agent, look, this person's getting really angry or frustrated. They might not be saying this, but you can tell they're getting frustrated. Any technologies out there that you guys are looking at or developing?
Yeah, so we're not using any facial recognition. Back to our kind of privacy standpoint, is we only use the one-way video, so we're not actually showing the customer's face. Mm-hmm. But we are using audio and sentiment analysis to be able to understand, based on the customer's voice and tone, etc., being able to automatically surface to the customer agent, call center agent, this customer may be increasingly upset.
Right.
So using audio to do that.
Okay, that's good. So that's actually a really good feature to have as part of your solution as well. And talking about, what is next for your company, what other, you've mentioned a few things, any other sort of interesting, exciting developments you can share right now?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, it's always that line to balance what we can share and what we should share. So we do have some really exciting things in development today. So kind of how we explained, we have, kind of three pillars. We've got that video, we have AR, and then we have the intelligence, the AI. what we're really excited about is building on that AI. So being able to understand more and more context and surface that up to the user, to the customer call center agent in real time. And one of the really fascinating things that we're working on is around creating, 3D context of what the agent is seeing. So not only providing, 2D images with depth information, but even 3D models with depth information and context for that call center agent, to have kind of a 3D representation of the space that they can look at and understand, both during the call and also post-call. There's a lot of really interesting things you can do once you have that 3D representation of the customer space that you just can't do in a 2D world with images and 2D videos. So we're really excited about this kind of new cutting edge technology that we're working on around that.
Interesting. It sounds like you've got a lot of great potential there as well for, not just what you're doing today, but also things that you can bring to the industry tomorrow. Who are the early adopters of your solutions today? Without naming names, but just what sort of industries are adopting your technologies?
Yeah, so we've publicly, unless you don't want us to name names, but we've publicly announced a relationship with Lowe's. Lowe's just released a job site powered by Streem, which essentially allows Lowe's professionals to use Streem to connect with their customers more efficiently and remotely. With Wade's background in telecom, we also have some telecom partnerships as well. And where Streem's really focused on is kind of in and around the home, even though we have an airline customer, we have a boating manufacturer, a car manufacturer. So this is Streem's just a better way to communicate, capture information, and learn from that information. So it does really kind of lead into a really horizontal set of industries. But our kind of core focus is, in and around the home.
Excellent. Well, there's a lot of products and solutions that we use in our everyday life. So I'm sure the world is your oyster. In terms of, just talking artificial intelligence for a moment, people will say to you guys, what do you guys do? And you say, oh, we're in the artificial intelligence, or however you might describe it. There's a lot of people have misconceptions about artificial intelligence and what it actually is. How do you, someone says, oh, that's robots, isn't it? How do you deal with that when you get that sort of question or that comment?
Ryan, you want to take first stab at that? No.
Yeah, I can take the first stab. This is a big but really good question. So AI today is really in its infancy. AI is really only as good as the data that you have, because it takes a large data set to really make a good AI. And kind of the rule of thumb in our world is, if a human can recognize it, you can train AI to recognize it as well. So what AI is not, it's not something that's fully autonomous today. It still has that human touch, and it needs that human touch to continue to learn. So it's the people who we see in the industry being really successful at using AI in video and outside of video are the companies that are really using AI to just enhance the experience, not to take over the experience. When you see folks starting to, to preach that their AI, can run the whole experience, we haven't seen that be true today, and the technology is just not in a state where it can do that, or should it do that. So, where we see the state of AI is really, it is meant to just enhance the person on the other end, their understanding of the context of whatever the situation may be, and then continually improve that data set and learn from that data set.
Do you think, however, though, the technology will become sophisticated enough one day that it can be completely autonomous and replace, like, the contact center agent?
Perhaps for some specific use cases, yes. But I think what that's going to forever do is continuously elevate the agent to take over the issues that really require a human, like Brian was saying, all about the enhancement of it. I'm sure we've all worked with chatbots that are driven by AI that you can't get to a live person. It just absolutely do not get it. And a lot of that can be resolved over time with training. But as products and services evolve to solve more and more complex issues over time, there'll always be that human element in there. We just have to elevate the humanness of these experiences and take some of the stuff that's more rote down to the machines. When we're talking about enhancing with our service and others, you can recognize the computer can recognize objects, take notes on those objects, take measurements, which aren't necessarily things that humans should be doing anyway. Humans should be focusing on the broader, complex conversation with the customer. So we're all about the enhancement here, and as it improves, the enhancements improve, and then the automated stuff will be, I think, and we thought that live calls were going to be gone at some point because IVRs were just going to become so great. And, I think what we've all noticed is that IVRs have not taken over the world. They've just actually done more to frustrate people when they're there as a standalone service.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very fair comment. I remember a few years ago I was invited to speak at a conference in China, and it was all about, will the agent ever be replaced by robots? And I remember looking back in history at some of the great predictions, like when the ATM came out, the automatic teller machine came out for banks. It's like, that's it, banks are going to disappear, we're going to do everything, we're just going to go to a little machine, put your card in, get your money, and you never have to go to a bank again. But hey, I think we still go to banks, we still queue up in banks, we still do everything, and it's all about relationships, isn't it? The technology is allowing us to do some of those basic transactions where maybe we don't want or don't have to see somebody, but we go into the branch sometimes because we want that relationship and to build on that. And it's interesting stuff. You guys have got really good technology, and I really like about the direction that you're going in. So, on behalf of Contact Center World, I want to thank you both for joining us today and sharing some of the great stuff that you're doing. We wish you lots of success, and also, in this day and age, we wish you all both to stay safe and healthy, and we look forward to catching up with you guys again sometime soon.
Awesome. Thank you as well.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Likewise too. Thank you for your time, guys. Take care. Stay safe.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.